Okay, sir. Thank you for all to joining this webinar session. Um, this is regarding we get that what is the product we have to look at for the below. What are the problems we have facing that related only we have to look at this product regarding SAC correction, the productivity variable. If suppose we are facing these kind of issues, have you experienced any of these unexplained production loss or damaged electrical equipment, maybe increased scrap and missed production target? So that kind of things and unexplained disruption of production controllers, tripping of relay in an emergency stop circuit or an over voltage condition on VFD's DC bus, inability to diagnose the above and hence helpless to understand and mitigate them. Unknown of many of us, one of the possible reasons for the above could be a voltage sag, which is a dip of 10% or more in the nominal voltage and could occur in the blink of an eye. Brief as they may be, the voltage sag can become a cause of the multiple issues highlighted above. Fortunately for the manufacturing organizations, there are cost method to address these issues in a structured, data-centric approach. This webinar will be you insight in this unique approach to solve your problems. Uh, Today we have that our presenter is Mr. Biju Paul, technology consultant in Rockwell Automation. He has a good experience in understanding and solving power quality issues, including mitigating issues with the voltage sag. He has successfully consulted for an automotive major in South and helped them to mitigate the sag issues with the help of dynamic sag corrector. Let us hear his approach towards solving this problem. Almost it is gives insights to our solve your sag issues too. Handing over the sessions to Mr. Bijupal.
Thanks, Martin. I think, Jay, we will go ahead, right? All right, guys. Good morning and welcome to this webinar on dynamic voltage sag corrector devices from Rockwell Automation. So in the next probably 45 minutes to 1 hour, we will be exploring and explaining the issues that we are talking and the solutions that we are offering over here. Yeah, let us get it. So we talk basically about the grid in the beginning. So the grids are basically meant for the reliability. It is not for the power quality. I mean, as long as the infrastructure is concerned, it is been meant for the reliability part of it. So the quality of the power that is related to the fluctuations in electricity, momentary interruptions, and all those kind of things. These are not part of the grid. I mean, it is not being supported or fixed by the grid. Whereas the reliability aspect, of course, it is been ensured when we talk about the grid. So as a footnote, it has been generally said that the grid is designed for reliability, not for the quality. Now, what is the importance of power quality? Power quality events are mostly random. They can be from the utility, which includes the weather or something like a tree hitting the power line or some accidents, then some animals, all those kind of these are common cases. Then the facility side, we know about the induction motor, probably a starting kind of event will demand for 5 times of the current, and then that can create a voltage surge. And then when you are having a common transformer which has been shared for different customers for a very small unit or different sections in a large manufacturing area, if they are having a common transformer, that also can give you this kind of problem. Sometimes if it is a very large equipment, it can even go beyond the transformers, even if there is a transformer present. Then welding equipment, then all those kind of huge loads when they are being started, this kind of problems can be experienced onto. So then the impact of these kind of things, see voltage sags with as little as 80% voltage remaining uh, can impact the production. The lights might not blink in that case, but then if you look at the RPM of all those kind of things, as far as the motor is running or the control side of it, so it can really experience a blink over there. This could lead to immediate or long-term damages to the equipment. The consumer is responsible for the quality of the power. Utility is responsible for the reliability. So that's a takeaway of this sheet. So we will quickly get into some of the statistics that we came, and it is been well accepted across the industries as a standard observation. The voltage sags which are less than 2 seconds account for over 90% of all the grid events. When we say the voltage sags less than 2 seconds, uh, we actually tell is it is a momentary interruption that could be possibly something like a half cycle, 1 or 2 cycles, and almost got, which is probably not as such noticed by the general consumer, but for a sensitive equipment like a PLC or something like a relay, which is ensuring a important connection, something like a safety relay, all those kind of things, they can really give you a problem, a pain that actually leads into something like an interruption, which will probably cause multiple shutdowns on the downstream, and then restarting the equipment and the production losses and all those kind of things. The unfortunate part is that these are all very short bursts of voltage sag, which might not be observed by a general consumer. And the secondary effect is that when the voltage returns, high current inrush can occur because of soft charge circuitry is bypassed, which means that probably if you are noticed, all the VFDs will have actually a pre-charge facility. So then when the power is being restored back within a small span of time, the pre-charge circuitry might not have gone down. When the voltage, I mean the DC bus voltage falls below certain level, only the pre-charge will once again come into picture. Now still, I mean the voltage was still above the pre-charge level. Still, the problem is when the power restored, there could be a high inrush current which can really create problems for the capacitor banks and all those kind of things. Then radio frequency kind of thing, that's a different sort of application. Of course, they will be hugely impacted by all this kind of things. So, in short, what we actually wanted to put across over here is voltage sags less than 2 seconds account for over 90% of all the grid events. We have actually the collateral on all these kind of statements, like whatever we are talking now. There are analysis that we have conducted, and the results are somewhere above this thing, somewhere around this thing. But on an average basis, the number 90% stands good. We present you a solution known as DISC, which is actually an abbreviation for dynamic sag corrector. It's basically a battery-free UPS, and this can give you a ride through up to 5 seconds, and it's available with all the international voltages. Even customized voltages are also available. It's basically a scalable solution. We offer discs in 3 ranges. The one which is known as mini disc is basically meant for the control circuitry. They are available between 2 to 50 amps. They are available between 2 to 50 amps, and the voltages are like 110 volt or 120 volt to 240 volt. This is the range. And then we have this is of course the mini disc is in single phase configuration. And when we move to small equipments where power ride through is also necessary, we can think of the Pro disc, which is basically a 3-phase equipment, and the power ranges from 25 amps to 200 ampere. When you are talking about a big machine with the entire load onto, or even for a transformer secondary where you wanted the entire line to be backed up with something on the dynamic sag correction, then we can think of the Megadisc range, which is basically 400 to 2400 ampere. So the ProDisk and the MegaDisk are available in either 3-wire or 4-wire configuration, wherein you can even connect a single phase as well as 3-phase load when 4-wire is being used onto. Martin, am I loud and clear?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Thank you. You can interrupt me as and when required when you have small queries. Otherwise, we are having an open forum at the end for all the question answer sections. So the general features and benefits of the disk product is being listed like preventing the downtime, which talks about, protects the short-term sags and interruption that can shut down the production. So it protects from even 0-volt condition. This point will become very significant because we are talking about a solution wherein there is no battery involved over here. So everyone will have that doubt in their mind, without a battery, how the system is going to, really sustain. Of course, this system, when the line voltage is available up to something and above 50% of nominal value, it uses actually an equipment known as a cross coupling transformer to restore the voltage back to the nominal, up to 5 seconds without any consumption of onboard stored energy. Once the line voltage falls below 50%, we treat in our terminology as a 0-voltage remaining condition. This equipment uses stored energy from an electrolytic capacitor that can give a ride through of 50 milliseconds or even up to 200 milliseconds based on standard version of the equipment or on the extended version. Now remember, the standard and extended version comes when the voltage falls below 50% nominal voltage. Now, as long as the voltage is above 50%, this equipment can sustain a sag up to a time of 5 seconds. Now, moving back, protecting the equipment from damage. So, poor power quality can cause immediate to long-term damages to sensitive electrical equipment. We spoke earlier about the pre-charge circuitry kind of thing, or even for a small PLC, there could be issues like, power fluctuations can create memory loss, EEPROM erasing and all those kind of things. That's what it is. Yeah, scalability, we are talking about the different ranges that we offer. I mean, as long as the power is concerned, we are here from, 2 amps to 50 amps in the mini discs, and then 25 to 200 or then 400 to 2400 on the mega disc and pro disc ranges. Then we are also having this equipment available from single phase or 3-phase portfolio. 3-phase is available again on 3-wire or 4-wire configuration. It's a very environmental friendly product. There is no battery swap. I mean, basically, when you talk about something like an online UPS, you need to have the battery replacement within every 3 to 5 years span of time. And the energy efficiency part of this equipment is something above 99%. You would see that price is 98. 98 is for the smallest range wherein you have this kind of a problem. Now, the online UPS, of course, it is a perfect solution when it is been spoken on that kind of a level. But you will have to understand the most important aspect wherein there is a standoff between these two is that really when you evaluate the power quality issues, you can see that the voltage sags of duration less than 5 seconds and above 15% voltage, that is what we are talking, they contribute actually 90% of the overall voltage sag events that we are talking. So when we are talking about what is between the UPS as well as the dynamic sag character, what we offer here is that can take care of 90% of the issues without a battery-free solution. This is what the key differentiator between these two. We offer this product without battery, whereas you can get again 90% of the grid events covered onto. We have reports, I mean analytics that we have conducted, and the reports will be presented as part of this session. We can see that later on. So this is how the disk is been internally displayed over. You can see that the green line talks about how the utility power is being fed between the load, when there is a nominal voltage, I mean, which is above 87%. We are talking about the disk operation will always start below 87% of the voltage. So when the normal operation happens, the green line indicates how the power flow. We have a static switch inside, and the static switch will connect between the utility and the load. And the cross coupling transformer, as well as the power conversion core of the disk, will be idle in this case. And you can see this product is, which is displayed over here, is a mega disk, and the mega disk is having an internal auto bypass switch. Remember, only Megadisk is having internal auto bypass arrangement in complete form. The remaining ProDisk and the mini disk are having only the control part of that. When I say control part, potential free contacts are available from the equipment, which can be integrated contactor, and the auto bypass can be envisaged. So Megadisk is having this feature internally. And we have the activity versus the component. The DSP controller take care of the whole thing. Of course, constantly it monitors the input power, system integrity, and load and everything. And in case there is any challenge on the system integrity, then the auto bypass will be activated so that the load will receive power as it is. At least that part will be taken care by the equipment. Since this equipment is connected in series, it is always necessary that there is a bypass arrangement. Otherwise, the load will start receiving no power. I mean, if there is an internal fault, so that part is being taken care. So the static switch is something which is 99% efficient. This is in closed condition during the normal operation, and this sends the power directly to the load. Cross coupling transformer is idle. Power conversion core is idle. Automatic bypass is also idle in this case. You can see that while the power electronics is in standby mode, 99.999% is the efficiency that we are talking in this condition. Now, when there is a voltage sag event, when we say voltage sag event, what we call or what we consider as a sag event is when the nominal line voltage falls below 87% of the nominal voltage. We call it as a voltage sag event. So let us take a live example, a 100-volt system, and the voltage falls below 87.7 volt. Then this will be the power flow part. The utility power, the green line again represents how the power flow in this case. It's been fed through the cross coupling transformer that basically works as a voltage multiplier over here. And then we have a power conversion core which comprises a rectifier as well as an inverter. And then this will be connecting back to the load. Now you can see that this power conversion core is basically a sine modulated PWM output for you, which will create a sinusoidal output voltage in this case through sine wave. When we look at the component wise activity, DSP controller detects that a voltage sagging event has been occurred over here, and the cross coupling transformer and the power conversion core will become the new path for the power flow. The static switch will become open. Cross coupling transformer will start to pull additional power from the grid, which means if the voltage is still above 50% of the nominal line, it can pull the required energy to make up to the voltage loss over here and continue supplying the load with the same voltage as well as the full load capacity. It can do that job. And then the power conversion core rectifies and inverts a recreated true sinusoidal output. Automatic bypass is on. Now, when you look at the turnaround time, disk is on under 2 milliseconds and recreates a true sinusoidal wave. Now, the 2 millisecond can be further splitted onto 0.3 millisecond is for the detection and 1.2 to 1.3 millisecond is for the restoration of voltage to the true sinusoidal level. So with that, the overall turnaround time of the disk device under the voltage sag event is considered or accounted under 2 milliseconds. Now, this is an actual case wherein we are trying to explain a voltage sag event with the help of two waveforms, wherein the above one, I mean the one on the top, and the cross mark which is in red color indicates beginning of a power quality event. And in the same picture, if you look at the blue cross over there, that is where the power has been restored to the nominal value. Now, you can see that this in the lower image, you can see that above the red cross, there is a voltage which is being restored to the nominal value less than 2 millisecond time, and it continues to supply. Even you can see that if you look at the overall waveform, somewhere in and around these places, the voltage has been restored to the nominal value, whereas the equipment waits for a while, wherein both the line voltage as well as the disk core supplied voltage both will be present for the load, which is to ensure that make before break arrangement. I mean, for a while both the voltages will be present for the load, and later on the power core will be cut off. So there will be a bumpless transfer when the power is being restored from the disk core to the nominal line through the bypass. So that's what it explains over here. This slide talks about how the disk will work if there is an internal fault. So you can see that the utility power is being now fed through the auto bypass switch. Remember again, this feature is available as an integral function only in MegaDisk. However, the necessary controls are part of all the equipment, which in case of a mini disk and pro disk can be established with the help of an external contactor. So we have cases wherein this has been tested and used without much of a problem, and it's very simple in doing the wiring. Now, regarding the component-wise activity, DSP controller, it detects a fault level, immediately routing power through the auto bypass. Static switch will become open. Close coupling transformer is idle. Power conversion core is idle. Automatic bypass is closed. Sends power direct to the load without sag correction. So in this point, there is no sag correction applicable. So disk maintenance auto bypass available as a default in Mega Disk range. Please remember that. I mean, for the remaining things, as I explained already, it's available only in the control form. So you need to have an external contractor that you need to have an external contactor that needs to be wired. I hope that was not a query. Okay. So this is the portfolio explanation. We have actually the mini disk from 2 to 50 ampere, and the voltages are from 100 to 240 volt, and the power range is 0.25 to 14 kVA. This is available in two type of mounting. One is DIN rail, and another one is panel mounted. This is one phase equipment, and right through up to 5 seconds. Applications are generally for controls and component level. There is no batteries, and the energy efficiency is 99% plus, and maintenance is minimum. I can say that there is no moving part, there is no battery, so maintenance is something like regular cleaning on surfaces and all. That's it. So we have this product available in IP20, and the temperature rating is 40 degree. Moving on to the product range is from 25 to 200 ampere, and the voltages are from 200 to 480. And then we have the power range from 10 to 165 kVA, and it's a panel or floor mounting kind of arrangement. It's three-phase equipment, and right through up to 5 seconds. And then this is intended for small machines and drives, and of course there is no battery. The rest of the thing remains the same. Moving on to the last one, that is the MegaDisk range, which starts from 400 ampere to 2400 ampere, and the voltages are from 200 to 480, and this is available between 333 to 2000 kVA, floor mounted, three phase. Both the three phase equipments are 3-wire or 4-wire, and then remaining things like up to 5 seconds. It is basically intended for process or bus level kind of applications, and remaining everything will remain the same. There is no difference in that range in particular. Yeah, this is how we have the drill down on the cat numbers and all. I mean, we have basically the product code on mini disk and pro disk and mega disk, and then the ampere rating, and then the voltage codes. So here these voltages are kind of customizable. When you look at over here, 120 volt is not a nominal control voltage in India. We have it in 100 volt or 110 volt. So it is customizable based upon the customer requirement. There are cases wherein the return voltage is 110, and the actual case it comes to something like 100. So we can even customize it for 100 volt. Absolutely there is no change in price as well as the delivery times. So that is quite possible. And then we have it in different current ratings, like from 2 ampere to 2400 ampere. This is what we call it as a flexibility. And then wiring is single phase is line to line or line to neutral. Both versions are available. Three phase, three wire or four wire. And then runtime, we have it standard, that is 50 millisecond when the voltage falls below 50% of the nominal value. And the extended range will give you 200 millisecond. And then for the single phase, we have it as a, rack mounted. And then healthcare is also one important thing that we cater on to. We will see that what actually we intended to talk on that. Okay, so the general considerations that what is the amp rating of the band circuit? I mean, the Prowadis range when we talk about should be sized to a minimum of 80% of the band circuit ampere rating. So that's one thing. And if it is above 200 ampere, size to the upstream breaker rating, not the kilo ampere interruption capacity of the upstream breaker for 200 ampere and upload. Okay, so we even have the ability to customize the breaking capacity. That, I mean, if at all there is a specific value which customer is asking, we can even do that. Maybe somebody is asking for 100 kilo ampere. That of course is possible. We can do that. When we are talking about a transformer, 125% of the transformer KVA, considering the initial extra requirement of the transformer. Then regenerative loads for disk less than 200 ampere, it is not possible. But if the disk is above 400 ampere, it is possible to have a even regenerative load connected. It's possible. Then open circuits are not permitted. When we say open circuit, what we actually mean to say is, think about something like a generator wherein you wanted to have an interruption protection. Practically such kind of cases are not possible less than 200 millisecond time. That is what it means to. When we say about open circuit, the open circuit on the upstream is what we are talking, because these equipments are primarily intended to use where there is a sag event. Sag events are those kind of events where there is still some voltage available. So that is when the open circuit close comes into the picture. Okay, so general rules of thumb: size to the upstream breaker, or if wired directly on to the primary side of the transformer, size to 125% of the transformer KVA, considering the startup overshoots. That's it all about. These are typical wiring examples wherein we are talking here about a three-phase, three-wire system wherein there is no neutral present, and we have a disk to be connected. Now we have this disk connected over here in the secondary side of the circuit breaker, and we have a control transformer which actually converts 415 volt to 120 volt or 110 volt, as what it is in case of India. And then we have this mini disk connected at the secondary. It is very clever to connect it in secondary, because if we connect it on the primary of the transformer, then the transformer losses also will be a burden to the disk. So this is one smart way wherein you can minimize the capacity of the mini disk as and when it is being selected onto. We suggest that connecting it on the secondary is always a wise decision. Now you can have it with a line-to-line configuration if the secondary is not grounded. I mean, there are some cases wherein the isolation cum step-down transformer secondary has been grounded. In those cases, you can use a line to neutral type of configuration. If it's an ungrounded secondary on the 120 volt or 110 volt side, then you can use even the line to line configuration. Absolutely, these kind of flexibilities are available. When we talk about a bigger picture, this is how the overall wiring will look like. You have the transformer with primary delta, and the secondary is on star, as what it is in case. And then we have the neutral going to the equipment, and then the mini disk. I mean, this portion we have already seen. That's it all about in this bigger picture. Move to the next one. This is a mega disk application wherein we are connecting this mega disk directly on the secondary of the transformer, but after the breaker. You have an upstream breaker as well as a downstream breaker. And then this being a mega disk, this is having an internal bypass arrangement, so you don't have to really do anything on that. Basically, this system is a three-wire. Probably even the disk also can be with either 3-wire or 4-wire, depending upon what type of load that you wanted to connect over here. If you are having the intention to connect even a single phase load, you can have it a 3-phase 4-wire system. I mean the disk I'm talking, or you can have it on a 3-phase 3-wire system. Either are available. This is about the ProDisk application. So here the ProDisk again is connected on the after the breaker, and then you can see the control transformer is connected after the ProDisk. In this case, obviously it has to be like that, and you have the transformer because it is on a higher voltage, and the voltage of the controls over here is merely 24. We need to have a transformer. So this is the way in which the ProDisk will be generally connected onto. Some of the global references, these are the cases that we are talking. These are the type of industry that we serve on to. Yeah. So moving on to we spoke about something like the voltage quality that we actually wanted to find out from different size to evaluate the nature of the power quality issues and all. So we get into something like this kind of an equipment which is known as the iSense and iGrid. So this is typically a kind of equipment that we deploy to the cases wherein we are planning to have a disk installed. So iSense and iGrid together can work like a virtual power quality audit in any premises. So if you look at, I mean, I'm not taking too much of a time because it's an accessory and we don't want to spend too much. I will be running through the report, but primarily I wanted to show you how do we capture the data. So this is the overall concept. So you can see that there are eye sensors, different numbers connected across the grid, and then these eye sensors communicate to the iGrid server, which is basically a cloud-based server through Ethernet protocol, and then the client who was registered will get emails, text, or SMS, or even a PDF as per each and every power quality event has been occurred. So we can configure multiple number of recipients who are sitting in this part of the image. I mean, like maybe a user, supervisor, plant head, all these kind of fellows can receive SMSs on the power quality issue. Now, what is special about this equipment is we don't spend much time over here. We have a big thing to cover. I mean, more important aspects. The most distinguishable feature about this product is it is having something about 6K samples per second available as a sampling rate. So it is one of the highest thing. Of course, I do acknowledge that there are various number of power quality equipments, monitoring equipments available in the market, but they are all on a very comprehensive way. I mean, it monitors voltage, it monitors current, it monitors harmonic. It covers an array of functions wherein it is like a time divided manner. So we don't really go back to each of the sampling points as quickly as what our equipment is being talking about. Here, we talk about a unique equipment which will only look at the voltage levels where it is being connected, and the sampling rate is 6K samples per second. It can sense this frequency automatically, and the voltages wherein this equipment is being connected can be selected between 100 to 480 volt RMS. That's what it is possible. And even if there is an interruption, total outage of power, this equipment is having an onboard battery which accumulates the events that are happened there, and when the power resumes, it will start transmitting the stored events to the server. Again, you will get the report. You are not going to lose any data. It requires basically an Ethernet modem, which can be a static IP or even a fixed IP. I mean, a dynamic IP. Either of these IPs are possible. So in places where there is no plant network available, we are able to do it with the help of our 3G dongle, and then the data requirements, the bandwidth requirements are pretty low. You can have it connected without much of a data requirement. I mean, you don't need a huge bandwidth like 2 GB data per day, nothing like that. It can work very reasonably and a very data requirement level. So, like I said, 3 events can be stored in the non-volatile memory. That's it. And once the power has been resumed, it will pump the events back to the grid, and we will all get reports. So, moving on to a typical report. So, this is one such report which has been taken for a period of 1 month. I can just show you what is a period. So, you can see that this iGrid report has been taken for a period between July 3rd, 2019 to June 3rd. So, this is the period over here. Coming down to, if you recall, somewhere over here, I spoke to you about the voltage sag less than 2 seconds account for over 90% of all grid events. Now we will see practically, are we making sense or not? So here is this case. You can see that. Martin, can you confirm you are able to see the pie chart?
Yes, sir.
Joe, we are able to.
Thank you. So here we are talking about a case wherein the power quality has been monitored for a period of 1 month. So we are having actually 95% of the events are of less than 2 seconds. It's very important to everybody as a point to notice over here that we spoke at this PPT that voltage sags less than 2 seconds account for over 90% of all the grid events. And here is what we have the statistics in front of you. This really tells you that it is not. Yeah, Jay. Jay, you want?
No, sorry, sir. No, sorry. Carry on, sir.
Okay. So here it is actually not 90. It is even 95%. They had totally about 88 plus 5 events, whereas 88 events were of 95%, which is the 95% of the overall events were less than 2 seconds. Now, my dear friends, please tell me, when your number of events, which is 95% is less than 2 seconds, why do you wanted to really go for an online UPS wherein you have an inefficient system as well as you need a battery replacement over every 3 years or something like that? Of course, I do agree that we are not talking about a solution which is 100% catering, but we are able to cater 90%. It's always a standoff between these two, that where you wanted to go for 100% of the events to be addressed at a cost of this low efficiency UPS kind of a system, as well as the battery replacement, which accounts for a very huge reinvestment in every 3 years to 4 years time. I mean, that's what we are talking about. So this is one example. We move to the next one. This is again another case wherein November to December data has been, of course, again of 1 month period has been taken into consideration. Here you can see that this case has 14 plus 1 event, and the 14 accounts for 93%, and the 7% is the one event which was above 15 seconds. Okay, now the 14 events were less than 2 seconds. Even in this case also, our numbers stand good, whatever we were talking. Then we have a third report. Here it is between, of course, there was a long period, December to February. You can see that this case had more interruptions, and in this particular instance, we got 80%. Of course, we do acknowledge that in this case, it was not 90, but 80% of the events were less than 2 seconds. And we got another 7 events, that is 9% between 2 to 15 seconds. Okay. Yeah. That is why it is always important to do a power quality study before we qualify a case. Some of the cases the nature may be something different than we have. I mean, we are talking on the basis of some averages. We do agree there can be some deviation. So this case was slightly on a deviation part. Now probably we are talking about 2 seconds, but then our equipment is capable of mitigating the sag events not just for 2 seconds but up to a time of 5 seconds. So if this pie chart is being made for 5 seconds, probably we are going to be far better. But unfortunately, this is a standard report which comes from the iGrid services, which is part of the iSense and the cloud-based network system as well as a backend server. So we cannot really edit anything over here. These are the standard reports. We have to select or unselect what we want, and then you can run a report, and the report will be generated and presented to you. So as I said to you guys, this can work. I mean, the iGrid and the iSense services put together can work almost like a virtual power quality audit for the voltage events in any plant. You can deploy it. It will, once connected to the grid on the bus level, it will start transmitting the data. You don't require to do anything as an intervention. As long as the network is available, it can give you the reports to the cloud, and through the cloud it will get processed and you will start receiving such reports. Now that's about what our claim and the credentials on the claim regarding this 90% and whatsoever. Moving on to we now wanted to take you to one typical example wherein we were able to successfully support a power quality issue within India. This automobile client is from Chennai, wherein they were facing typical voltage sag events, and we got to know about this case, and then we studied these issues, and this report. Okay, so this report is exactly belongs to the same customer whom we are talking. Now you can see that they got actually one second, sorry. Yeah, this one. I was really confused between these two. So this is the one. So they got about 14 events over here, which were less than 2 seconds. And that particular case, we were able to supply a disk equipment for the controls in particular over there, and their problems were rectified. Now I wanted to just take you to one more point over here. You can see that in this case, the number of events also was very less. The disturbances, what we could really observe over a period of 1 month was just 15. So when that is being compared over here, you can see that there are 88 events over here. Of course, these events were, majority of these events were still under less than 2 seconds. So the difference between these two cases, they were really even not knowing or not having an idea how many such events were happening over there. So this was a KPTCL customer wherein KPTCL used to tell to them, okay, and at so and so timing we had an interruption, we admit. But then when they installed such an equipment, they had enormous amount of data on the power quality issues, and then they were able to go back to the KPTCL fellows and ask them to look at what was really going on. They found what was the reasons, and then they were able to arrest many of such events. Of course, that's a different topic, but my point as a takeaway for you guys over here is, see, this customer was working on not 11 kV. They were working on 66 kV as a line supply for them. And as you all know, when you have an ST not on 11 kV, but on 33 kV or 66 kV like kind of voltages, you have very less number of customers. When you have less number of customers and have a dedicated line, you all know that there can be less number of chances of interruption as well. That is how they were able to sustain it. So you can see in this case, there were only 15 such interruptions that they have noticed over here after deploying iSense for a period of 1 month. And then we were able to give them a solution as what it is being explained. So I will give you a little bit deep dive onto what we are talking about. So typically, this customer was having something like a screw compressor, and the arrangement of wiring of the screw compressor was something like this. So they had a DOL kind of starter, this screw compressor. And of course, the DOL, I don't want to get into the three contactor arrangement. I have shown it as simply three, contactors are being replaced by one contactor. I'm not showing the star and delta and all those kind of things. So they started it and the pump was running. Unfortunately, what happened is, the L1 and L2 and L3, we got to know about the phenomenon known as a single phasing. So some of these phases got a voltage dip. And unfortunately, in that particular case, the voltage dip occurred between L1 and L2. So L1 and L2 were the exact two phases between them, the control transformer primary was connected. Now, all of us know one thing, that as long as it is a minor voltage stack, that is not a sustained stack, a DOL system will continue to work, because the DOL, once it is started, it is purely on thermal trip. And for an interruption which is less than 1 or 2 seconds, the thermal system is not going to respond. And the motor will, run by drawing more current on the healthy base available, but that is not true for the control transformer. This poor guy was connected between phase 1 and 2, where there was a voltage dip. Probably you can consider that the 415 becomes something like a 220, and then the 120 became 50, and the control died. Eventually, what it will happen? Even though the power side was able to sustain, the control died before the power. So the overall system went into trip. So they noticed that, single phasing was creating them this problem. So they were very easily able to fix it by connecting a mini disc over there. The control was fed through a mini disc. Our first order was for 3 units, which is of 120 volt and 12 amps each. And as on date, we have crossed 100 plus unit with them. They have installed in many places. Now, when you talk about a control transformer, you all know that, or rather, we all know that the control transformer is an indispensable thing in many of the cases. I mean, almost all the equipment will have a control transformer. So the applications are numerous in that way. I mean, wherever you have a control circuitry with a transformer involved, which is being tapped basically from 3 phase, you can have this kind of an equipment, and that will give you a trouble-free operation as long as the control side is concerned. Now, like I said, we crossed 100 plus unit, and in the standard version, we have supplied 50 amps 240 volt as the highest capacity, and in the extended version, which is the 200 millisecond version, we supplied 200 millisecond for less than 50% of the voltage remaining. We supplied 12 amps 240 volt as the highest capacity. So this is it all about one case that I would like to present to you. And then similar applications we have given in various customer bases. For example, we have supplied one of the biggest case to Toyota, not in India but in abroad. So that was for a paint booth, wherein the entire
Did you say? Sorry, sir. He's getting interruption in the networking. Just 2 minutes, he will be joined, sir.
Yeah, I'll call him right away. So Biju is getting reconnected. I think there was a network issue. Just to summarize, this is we are taking a very systematic approach to understand the customer's problem. Actually, it's not like a blind installation of any equipment. We are making use of the iSense equipment to go through the entire issues that is being felt by the customer, and customer most of the time doesn't even know that such issues are existing. And we have seen dramatic improvements in performance after this solution is installed. So it's a very data oriented and step by step approach to solving this issue. So we'd be very happy to help you out if you have such issues in your installations as well. And many times many of our experience is that we are not even aware that such a issue is existing until our attention is drawn towards such an issue. That's such a possibility. So the entire idea of this webinar is to create that thought process in you. If you're facing such an issue, is it possible that it could be because of this issue, that is voltage sag?
Jay?
Thank you. Yeah, Bijo, please go, carry on.
Am I back?
You are.
Okay. So presented is one case that I was talking about, the Toyota Motor Thailand. So this is regarding the Megadisk. Sorry, I was actually having a technical issue. I got disconnected. So in this case, we've installed a 2400 ampere Megadisk for their entire paint booth, wherein the second order also was perceived. That's what this success on about. It's been shown just as a case of reference. Now we will also take you with another one. So you all know that GE is heavily into the healthcare, and that they are into this scanning equipment and all those kind of. Every hospital is having a scanning equipment. So interestingly, the scanning equipments are much more sensitive, to voltage sags and all. So as a standard feature, GE Healthcare is offering Rockwell make data character as a part of their equipment sale itself. In case if the customer is really facing voltage sag events or disturbances like whatever we were talking, then they can go ahead with this kind of an equipment purchase. So that's what the idea is. So this is the GE browser. You can see that this is an Allen Bradley made this product, and they are also talking about the kind of wiring and all, as well as the Hisense equipment, wherein they can qualify the power is good or bad and all those kind of things. All those. Okay. So that's it all about I wanted to talk. Probably I leave the session open for question answers now. Please over to the attendees now. Martin, do we have any questions in the chat box?
No, sir. Regarding that slides, we can share that that thing only they are asking, sir. Initially, but still
we will be sharing this presentation as well as the collateral we will be sharing.
Okay, sir. Okay.
Yeah.
If any questions are there, you can type in the chat window so that there can be.
Now. Yeah, now it can be asked also.
Yeah.
Martin?
Yes, still
there are no questions.
There is a question. What will be the rough cost of mini disc voltage sag rectifier 1.5 kVA 415 120 volt?
Sorry, sir.
This can be addressed over a mail, na? Whatever this question.
Yes. Yeah. So the commercial part, can come later. Any technology related questions, which will help you solve your problems. We are looking forward to those questions so that things become very clear. And also, this is a presentation to all. If someone has issues in the back of the mind, and if you want to check with us whether this can be a solution. Then we can have one-on-one session also, so that we can go into the depths of what your problem is over a remote setting, and then we can take it forward based on the outcome. We will understand how to, whether it is actually the power control problem, just the discussion, and then the systematic approach, if required, we can start later on. That also can be done. But right now the questions can be more of technical nature, and if anything there is required in terms of commercial idea, we can have some offline discussions as well.
To just add, if you really have such kind of problems faced, or if you suspect that this is something on a voltage sag event, we have actually the ISENs available within our region which can be deployed, and then we can help you to find out whether you are facing a voltage sag event or some other things. I mean, for a study and all those kind of things, this equipment is available. I think we can deploy that. Just for the information I'm saying.
That is the first step of identifying whether this is a sag problem or anything else. Unexplained production loss or sudden quality issues, and which you cannot explain based on all the other control parameters, etc. There could be hidden reason, the voltage sag. So, but we cannot identify that unless we have this ISENs monitored. That is the first step of approach to identify whether there is actually an issue and taking it forward from there.
This is Subramanian. For how long is the ISENS required to be deployed for us to come out to a logical conclusion? Does it also help us identify other power quality related issues, or is that specific to the voltage sags?
So the ISENs will be generally deployed for a period of 2 weeks to 4 weeks. I mean, to arrive on something on a long-term data. So that is the deployment period. So, if people who are not raising questions, can you go on mute? I have one question to answer which came up. That is from Anandaraj. Sir, you are asking how the dynamic sag character behave when the sag is more than 5 seconds. So the dynamic sag character will continue to correct as long as there is a voltage available still on the line. But practically, you can see that if the voltage falls below a holding level, you cannot expect this equipment to be continue to support even when the line voltage is something like 10% of the nominal. No, it's not going to happen. But what it will happen is it will connect the load through the static switch, and the static switch will continue to supply the power as long as it is possible. That's the way in which it will work. When it is not able to support the system any further, I mean, as the voltage falls below, it will start drawing more current. Once it starts drawing more current, that the voltage will further, settle down. I mean, as long as there is no supply from the upstream. So in the process, once it reaches the level beyond which it cannot hold the line further, the bypass arrangement, I mean, if I should show, 1 second. Okay. Share it again. Okay. So this will be returned to the static switch, wherein the utility as it is will be fed to the load. The cross-coupling transformer arrangement, the power conversion core will support. For example, I can take a typical example. that you got actually not 50 but 48% volt. That is somewhat very close to the nominal voltage of the disk, which can sustain up to 5-second time. So in that kind of a situation, it will continue to function. But if the voltage still falls below 48 to 45, 40, 30, and all those kind of things, there will be a point wherein this, the cross coupling and power conversion can no more support it. At that point, the operation is, of course, once it is below 50, the operation is not guaranteed for 5 seconds. It will be able to support as long as the minimum sustainable voltage of the system is available. But once it exceeds that, then the control will be handed over to the static switch, and the utility as it is will be fed to the load. That's the way. So you can use your, you can use mic also. There is no problem. You can have audio. Anandarajan sir.
Hello, good morning, sir. Hello.
Good morning, good morning, good morning.
Sir, actually, I am Anandaraj from Apollo Tires, actually from Chennai plant, and I would like to know the dynamic voltage sag corrector will work. That is, what will be the situation when the voltage is getting fluctuating? For example, the voltage is coming 400 three-phase supply, and it is coming down to 380, or for example 390, or it is going up for after some 5-10 seconds it is going about to 400. And during that time, what will be the how this dynamic sag corrector will help us?
Okay, so
Explain, sir.
yeah, as the name itself indicates, dynamic sag corrector will work when the voltage is detected below 87.5% of the nominal level. So, for example, your 400 volt, once the 87.5% of the 400 volt is reached onto, the load will automatically switch over to the dynamic sag corrector mode, and the load will be receiving power through the sag corrector. The moment when the power is being restored, then it will be, when the voltage goes above the nominal value and it returns to the 100%, it will be restored to the nominal level. That's the way in which it will work. And if there are sustained events, multiple events, so the, overall correction time that will be added together, and still it can give you 5-second diagram. That's the way it will work.
Thanks for explanation, sir. Actually, one more thing we want to know that in the dynamic sag corrector, do we have a setting that this is my standard voltage? If it drops below, as you told that 87%, then it will start functioning like that.
Actually, it is there. Actually, it is there. At the time when you place this, order, you can confirm what is the voltage. Your nominal voltage. So basically, sir, if I come down to a situation like practically, what we do is, different sections of the plant might have different voltage levels. So what we basically do is, we will analyze, we will deploy this iSense equipment. We can very well support you for that. We can deploy this iSense equipment, and then we really get into the statistics of that particular area. See, we have seen in places wherein 110 volt is a control voltage mentioned over there, but practically the voltage is always something like less than 100. So in that case, we have given them a 120 voltage dynamic sag corrector, actually calibrated for 100 volt as a nominal voltage. So such kind of possibilities we do have. We can do that.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir. And then actually, one more thing, sir. Actually, all these dynamic sag correctors are with respect to in AC supply. Do you have anything in for DC? For example, 24 volt or 110 volt DC?
No, basically it is not available for DC, but I suppose you are going to have an SMPS in that case now.
Yes, sir. In that SMPS only, sir. Actually, some situations SMPS there is for example SMPS we have 24 volt 20 amps. If there is n number of loads are connected, and at the time of startup or at the time of any peak load situation, there may be a voltage sag, and it occurs for a moment. And during the time actually we want to avoid the voltage sag even in the 24 volt supply. Actually, three-phase supply all are okay at that time. This 24 volt that is
Understood. So
SMPS.
your 24 volt side is actually overloaded. That's what you are saying, huh?
Actually it is not actually it is under the rated load only, sir, but sometimes it is getting overloaded during startup, especially during startup. So we don't want that momentary sag. So any solution you have, you can explain, sir, please.
No, I do not have a product that meets your requirement. I can just explain you what is happening in your case. See, this 24 volt side, yeah, that is actually an inrush. Okay, so I can tell you on a primary thing, I can tell that power supply might be slightly underrated. I mean, you may have to slightly go for an higher capacity. This will be happening only during the startup time because all the loads are getting started and there is an inrush applicable for every single load connected. So when the inrushes are put together, that is the sum total is exceeding the maximum overloading capability of that power supply. So during the momentary startup, then all this. I mean, this is a typical case. I am very well experienced on this kind of practical situation, wherein during the startup only there will be an inrush requirement, and then the 24 volt is not making up to that. Yeah, I do agree with you.
Exactly.
So,
Yes,
yeah,
sir,
yeah,
I understood, sir.
slightly you have to increase the 24 volts ampere rating. It's slightly underrated for the inrush of all the 24 volt loads connected. But we do
Yes,
not
sir,
have
thank
a
you, sir.
24 volt, dedicated product. It's all for 110 or 240 or three phase and all those voltages.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir, fine.
Sure. Thank you.
This is sir, one more question we get it from Rajaram sir.
Yes, sir.
He asking for that whether just a minute, sir, sorry. Yeah, whether SAC corrections are required for the loads with the online UPS, which regulates the voltage.
No, see, the online UPS, if it is true online, then that itself is taking care of any SAG events. So additional to that, I mean, it depends upon what type of the UPS that they are using. If the online UPS is a true online UPS with all the features like voltage, it is like AVR function, then they don't need it. But if that voltage UPS, online UPS doesn't have the AVR function, that's voltage automatic voltage regulation function, that it works only when there is a absence of voltage, then probably that's a different case. But I would say that they should look at the UPS what they are having in their hand and understand what it or how it behaves when there is a low voltage situation. Some UPSs may work, only in the absence of voltage, that sort of a thing. I think you can understand what I'm explaining. Generally, it is a part of the UPS itself. So, sir is present in the call. Martin.
Check it that Rajaram sir is in.
Okay.
No sir, yes sir, he's in the call only.
Okay, so sir can speak absolutely no problem. We can hear you. This is how it will be, sir. The UPS will have an AVR function generally. So the AVR function will. Okay. You do not have. Okay, then you can set the voltage level in the area when the UPS has to get into the automatic voltage regulation mode, and that will take care of these things. generally the UPS is meant to do AVR function. So it's a huge investment that you already made, and we don't suggest to go in addition to the UPS, online UPS, this kind of an equipment. That I don't think it might be required. Yeah. So again, as I was telling to you earlier, there is a choice between these two. That by doing a site study or analysis like whatever we have presented to you, you can find out whether the voltage sags are, like whatever we spoke, less than 2 seconds, which is the 90% of the overall grid events and all those kind of things. Like this case, whatever we are presenting. So in this kind of a situation, it really doesn't warrant to go for an online UPS, which probably can cover like 10 minutes or whatever the time, and then you need these efficiencies, which is very low in case of an online UPS, and then you need to change the battery. Whereas the SAG event was, in practice, when we put this kind of equipments to understand what was the nature of the SAG events, probably you will be stunned to see that those events were all less than 2 seconds, wherein a SAG character like whatever we are talking, this would have been a more eco-friendly choice over there. That's it. We are using more number of servers. So the main star is saying that they are using more number of servo drives and VFD. How voltage sag help us to? Okay. Okay. I think Martin, there is a query that probably we can discuss offline further.
Okay, sir. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm giving it back to you guys. I mean, Subramaniam and Martin.
Sir, actually, we have one more clarification, sir, regarding the voltage spikes. And in a power system, that whether this iSense and iGrid will be sensing only the voltage sags or voltage spikes also, it will be sensing, sir.
It can
and
sense
also,
both.
okay, sir. And
It can sense
one
both.
more thing, sir.
Yeah.
Okay, sir. The number of in a power system, actually, the number of sags or the number of spikes, which will be more normally, and for spikes, this dynamic sag character, how it will help us to overcome the spikes in these power systems.
Okay.
Whether,
Okay.
yes,
So
sir.
when we look at the data, the voltage sags. Okay, I can even take you straight to those kind of situations. The- Yeah. So I hope you can see my screen now. So here, this is the kind of disturbances that they were facing. So if you look at the overall nature, voltage sags are heavily dominating in these kind of situations. And if at all there is a voltage spike, these are all within 100 to 110%. And almost all these equipments, including ours, they can tolerate such kind of spikes up to a minimum percentage. When you look at the corrective measures, the spikes are not corrected, but the system with the spike arresters and all those kind of things is capable of working or sustaining those. But when there is a voltage sag, the system cannot sustain. That is when the sag correction feature comes into the picture. I hope I have answered you, sir.
Yes, sir. Okay, sir. Thank you, sir. Okay.
Yeah. So this kind of a report will be generally, made available for any customer premises where we deploy the iSense equipment. If you are so particular, this can be even to you people only. We are not that much concerned whether the report is available with us or not. And then this data reveals everything on the power quality. See, the biggest difference between a normal power quality equipment and this kind of an equipment is we have a highest sampling rate. And then why we are so particular in doing this kind of an analysis is we are talking about a very small window of correction. When we compare ourselves with a UPS is talking about 2 minutes backup, 5 minutes backup, 10 minutes backups, and all those sort of things. Whereas we are talking about 5 seconds backup. Now, when we talk in that term, we should be absolutely clear about what is the nature of power sags that we are facing. So we insist that we do this kind of a study. Of course, there are a numerous number of power quality equipments, but then they do a lot of studies. It's not limited to voltage. They talk about current. They talk about harmonics. They talk about KVR. There are numerous things. When so many attributes are being monitored at a time, it is on a time division manner. So the frequency at which every data point is being recaptured, it is bit lengthier as compared with our equipment, wherein we have a highest sampling rating and we talk only about voltage. That's it. That's the whole difference. So this different. I mean, the reports that we are able to give, they are very comprehensive. I mean, I can tell you even the minor details or interruptions are always getting captured over. All right.
Sir, regarding the sampling rate, sir, we want to know what is the value. Earlier you were telling, no, sir, that is we have the highest sampling rate. That is one question, sir. And another question is that is why we have restricted to the operating range of the dynamic sag corrector to 5 seconds, sir. Whether it cannot, is there is any possibility to extend to 10 seconds or more or
You see the standard. I understood. So the standard product gives you 5 second right through. I am not in a position to answer you whether this can be customized on the extension and all those kind of things. But the practical experience tells to us that the voltage sag events which are less than 2 seconds always goes something like 85 to 95% of the overall events. That is where the 5 seconds number came into the picture. I mean, it is observed that less than 2 seconds is what we have seen 90% of decline, but still they went up to twice or even more than that of the time. 2 versus 5 seconds. That's what the product is. Possibly, I would say that the 10-second product probably might not be that much relevant. I mean, the thermals or all those kind of things, I don't know what are the complications over there. If you really look at, the iSense data that probably can be captured at in your site also, we will have a better picture. I mean, see, to me also, this was something like a news that the power quality issues which are less than 2 second attributes for 90% of the overall grid events. I mean, unless you see that practically, it is something very difficult to digest that fact. So I suggest if you have a doubt that this 5 second is really low, probably we offer you to deploy iSense and qualify whether it is going above 5 seconds or not, sir. We can do that.
sir? Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. And
Yes, sir.
one more clarification, sir. Actually, for example, if a breaker, for example, 1000 amps breaker we are switching on, or we are switching on a small load MCB, for example, 10 amps, 20 amps MCB. So while switching on or switching off the circuit breakers, during that time, do we have in the power system in the downstream side? Do we have voltage sags in the at the time of switching on? That time, what happens? Or if you that time any voltage sags will happen, sir. And that also will be taken care by this dynamic sag corrector. Just I want to know, sir. Please clarify.
There will be voltage sags, but when you talk about something like a switch, you are talking about the circuit breaker in the downstream of the voltage sag equipment, na?
Yes, sir. That
Let
is
me.
downstream means for example, if dynamic stack character is connected in the system,
Yeah.
for example, the upstream circuit breaker is switching off and on. During that time, any sacks will get built up. Just I want to know, for that this dynamic stack character will help us to rectify that sag. That I want to know, sir.
You see, if you are having an upstream breaker that is getting switched on and off, I don't think whatever you are talking is something a SAG character can really work on to, because SAG character will not support anything like an open loop system. If the system has become like open circuit now, then it cannot do that job. So I'm just working on one thing. Give me a moment. I will clarify you. One second. Okay. So I think if you can look at the screen now, are you able to see my screen? I have made a small sketch on whatever we are discussing.
Yes, sir.
So if you are talking about the upstream breaker over here, I mean, if you are talking about this breaker, then the sag character cannot do that job, because once you disturb the supply to the sag character, then it will become an open circuit. So there is no voltage available now. Of course, it can do that job, but for a limited time. Whereas if you are talking about this guy on the bottom, no matter whatever you do within the capacities or the boundaries of the disk, it can do the sag correction. I will call this as CB2. CB2 is within the range of disk, and CB1 is outside. Are we clear, sir? Hello?
Yes, sir. I understood. Yes, sir. I understood, sir. Actually, when we switch on the upstream circuit breaker, for example, 500 amp circuit breaker, we are switching on. After that, the load. After that, it is not switching off. It is in line. And then during that time of switching on, whether any sacks will get created, that we want to know.
Yeah, sacks will obviously get created.
That one, how much will that will be very minimum, or how what are the
I can explain you. See, at that point of time, see, for example, you have something connected over here, like a transformer. Okay, another transformer you connected over here. So when you connect a transformer load over here, the transformer is obviously going to have an inrush current, right? So the inrush current of the transformer will definitely create a voltage sag over here. It can do, or because the transformer is just like a motor. So the transformer will have at least 1.5 times, not exactly like a motor which is having a slip and load, but at least 1.5 times of the capacity. That will be there, and this downstream will have that problem. But in order to protect that kind of a voltage sag, you need to have the dynamic sag character not after CB1, but it should be before the CB1. Then only you will get that protection.
okay,
I was
sir.
able to answer you.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And actually, while switching on the circuit breaker, if it goes to for example, if the load is having a power factor correction capacitor, and how it will behave, that is, for example, if we are switching off the load, dynamic sag character is in line, and then the power factor correction panel will be connected to the load. At the time, the stored voltage of the capacitor will come, and then during that time there may be a voltage spike. At that time, how this dynamic sag character will behave, or at that time, what is your observation, sir? During that time, we want to
Dynamic
know.
sag, see the capacitor bank, whatever you are talking, that will be probably connected like here. How the capacitor bank will get connected? It is on the bus like this.
Yes, sir. Actually, if the capacitor bank is connected in the bus,
In
and
parallel.
yes, sir, in parallel, these power factor capacitors are connected in the line, and it will be in on condition, sir. So during the time when the incoming power goes, then the voltage spikes will be created from the capacitor bank. So during the time, what will happen to the dynamic sag character and how it behaves, sir?
No, the dynamic sag character will not do anything at that point of time. Because it is in parallel to that system, the system is probably experiencing something like a voltage spike. Dynamic sag character will not do anything.
Gentlemen, can we, I think we can have an offline discussion also on this.
That's what I was about to tell. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good discussion. I think there will be a larger time required, and sir, we will have your details and we will contact you and talk to you about this further. Is it okay?
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Thanks for your valuable. Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you. Sir, the questions like you are from you maybe know your name and organization, and you can pass on our to privately to Biju or me or Martin your phone number so that we will be able to contact you.
Yes, sir. We have the details, Anandraj, sir. No issue.
Okay.
Sir, you're from Apollo, right?
Yes, sir. Apollo Tyres, Chennai, sir.
Okay.
We can be in touch with.
But good questions, sir. Good questions. Yeah, it will require, I think, more than an hour of discussion. Good discussion.
Yes, sir. Actually, we are also very much got clarity in the new products, sir. And regarding iSense and iGrid, what we understood is that is it will be monitoring only the sags, and during the time what is happening, it can able to sample, and then it can create a report so that what is the exact thing is happening. We can also.
It will do during both, or it will do the reporting always, sir. I mean, if there is a voltage spike, also it will do. I mean, if the voltage goes from the nominal voltage like 450 become 430, then also it will give a report. It will make an entry on the voltage event. And SAG also. I mean, it can always. I mean, it will be continuously monitoring. When the nominal voltage changes, it will give alarm. Not alarm, it will give a message, probably in the form of email or SMS WhatsApp. That's it. SAG as well as spikes.
Thank you very much, sir.
Okay, Martin and Suronium, over to you. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thanks, sir. Sir, thank you for your this valuable time to spend and give this opportunity. We have that maximum your mail ID, sir. But still we have some difficulties to understand some of that. So if please share your mail IDs in that chat box, so that is very easier to share that this documents, and further we can discuss with things, sir. So please put it in your mail IDs. If any doubts regarding that, we can continuously follow that.
Yeah. So Martin, one more thing also, we can share Biju, yours and my mail ID, and
Definitely, sir.
yeah, that also will help. Yeah. So my mail ID is jraju@ra.rockwell.com. Gentlemen, I'm taking care of power control business. My name is Jay Kumar. for the southern region. Biju, your mail ID bpaul, right?
I have typed it, Jay.
Okay. You also type. Yeah, good. So you can, anyone would like to have more information, more consultation required. Please feel free to, write to us, and we will also be approaching you. Apart from that, you can also make use of these mail IDs, so there can be mutual communication. We can take this forward for a productive plant. Yeah, thank you. So Martin Subi, for your kind closer.
Thanks.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thanks. Exactly, sir.
Audible?
Yes, sir. Audible,
Yes.
sir.
Martin,
Yes, sir. Audible, sir.
thank you, gentlemen. Really appreciate all of you taking time today to join us. Just on the closing note, I thought let me summarize how we came across this particular program. One is SAG is it also summarizes what Mr. Biju was trying to tell us. One is voltage problem for most manufacturing organizations. These are things they are not very easy to detect, and these are random events. Hence, most of us are likely to skim over it. I mean, they happen for a very short period of time as well. So, they also happen for a very short period of time. We thought that this topic would be relevant at a time when most organizations are, starting to resume operations. However, all the current are not resumed operations. They are not started, their 100% production as a power generation. So there are going to be capacity issues when it comes to voltage. And at the same time, I mean, we also came across a few case studies which Mr. Vijay presented. Most of them were cases which were study reports which were undertaken before the lockdown itself. Companies which had dedicated line and assume like there are going to be lesser interruptions. Certainly not the case. So what we assume like in the current situation, these rather voltage events might be much higher. This is what we believe, and this is what we wanted to draw your attention to. But then it's not just a problem. We also want to come back to you, and we also want to get to you and tell you that there are solutions to mitigate these voltage events. We'll be able to cover the risk that it brings with itself, so that we will be able to overcome the voltage sag and restore voltage to its nominal values. What best that we wanted to also share with you is these are also equipments which come with a very, very small footprint. They're also more eco-friendly, and we wanted to say that we are here to support you, whatever be the case. So thank you all, gentlemen. Thank you all for joining us. We shall come back to you. Maybe come back to you with another topic which is as equally as interesting as this, which will help you improve reliability, productivity, and at the same time resilience. Thank you all.
Okay.
We will be sharing with you the presentations.
Sure.
We have also recorded this session, so you can also receive the web link for this.
260 kilowatt, sir. 260 kilowatt. 260 kilowatt.
Yeah. Thank you all, gentlemen. Really appreciate all of you joining us today.
Thanks, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Actually, it is this this discussion, I think Sudhapa will be asking for a free service or remanufacturing. I think that will be our ask. Because I think light வேலை செய்யலாம்னு சொல்றாங்க.
Okay, sir. Thank you for participating this time. Definitely, we will share these documents to your mail IDs. Maximum, we have that your mail IDs also. We will share the documents to your mail IDs also. If any issues regarding that or any more more regarding this product related, please contact us. Definitely, we will give that solutions to you, sir. Thanks for this opportunity. Sir.